Okay, so let's talk about stress for a moment because stress, of course, does affect blood flow, and blood flow, as we know, does affect your fertility. So our bodies are basically designed in exactly the same way as when we were cave women. They're no different. We're designed exactly the same. So if there was a threat to safety, like something attacking us, then the body instantly goes into fight or flight mode, where you can either fight your attacker or you can run away from your attacker really, really quickly. So what that does is, usually in the wild, it's the flight. The animals will run. So it sends the blood flow into the legs and into the arms to give you the ability to run away faster from your attacker. So in order to give you that much energy, your body will then have to take the blood flow away from the parts of the body that it doesn't deem necessary for survival. Guess what the main one is? The reproductive system, and the digestive system is the other one. So they'll pull the blood flow away so you can run away from your attacker. All right. So there are tiny little receptors which signal to our reproductive system when we are under stress that it's not a safe time for us to reproduce. So stress literally can shut off our ability to get pregnant. We see it all the time when animals are in zoos, and I think with the pandas it's happened a lot. They don't reproduce. It's always a big deal when there's a baby panda born, right? Because those animals are under threat. They're not in their natural environment. They're in a cage. They're stressed out. And their little receptor signals are telling them this is a really unsafe situation. It's, warning, warning, flashing lights. It's not a safe time for you to reproduce. And your body is exactly the same. It's doing exactly the same thing. And even if you don't feel particularly stressed, what happens now in our world, where the constant scrolling, the constant, ADHD, where we've got so many things going on at one time, throw into that a stressful job, different things in your life, and you've got chronic stress, and you maybe don't even realize that. So that's where the real issue is coming in with stress. So your body can't tell the difference between you being under serious threat or just from the regular old stress response. Your body has exactly the same response to it. So when you do like high impact exercise, when you're out running on the roads, again, that blood flow is being pumped away from your reproductive system to help to give you the energy to run. So that's why high intensity workouts aren't the best thing if you are struggling to conceive, because you want to get that blood flow. So something more like yoga, walking is going to be much more beneficial for you than running or high intensity workouts, particularly all through your cycle, actually, because those studies shown that that it was the follicular phase that the blood flow was affected, and ideally you shouldn't be running during your period either, because your womb has swollen up to a bigger size, and that can affect the ligaments of your womb being pulled. And then in your luteal phase, it's your 2-week wait, you want to get that relaxation time to help with implantation. So yeah, not the best kind of exercise. So this is our stress response: fight, flight, or freeze. And fight or flight is the one that we're most common with, and that's what happens with animals in the wild. But this freeze response is basically what is becoming most common in humans, because we don't fight it, and we don't flight it, we don't run away. Like if we were really stressed and we went out running, like running is good to remove stress from your body, and we like shook it all off at the end of the day, that we'd probably be better off. But we don't, do we? We just go, just keep it all locked inside of us. And we actually get to the stage where our nervous system is just numb. We're just in such a state of chronic stress that we are numb. We are frozen. Okay. So when some well-meaning person says to you, just relax and let it happen, how many times have you wanted to punch them in the face when they said that? It's not as easy. If only it were as easy as going and taking a bubble bath, going to a spa, having some self-care. It's not as easy as that because you're stuck, you're frozen in this stress response. And added to that, the third thing, when you're holding on to a lot of unprocessed emotional trauma, that is creating even more stress in your body. Even more stress is going on when all of this has been stuffed down, all of these memories, all of these traumas, all of these things have been repressed. Okay. So first of all, I want you to know, just like the estrogen, emotions are not bad. Emotions are good. Emotions are part of being a human being, and we are human beings. Emotion means energy in motion. So remember I said we want to have that energy flowing throughout our bodies to have good health. And when you're going through fertility struggles, you are entitled to feel all the emotions. You may go through one day feeling angry and jealous and sad and hopeless and all the things, and it's okay. It's okay to feel all those things, but feel them, cry, punch your pillow, do whatever you need to do to move them through your body. Don't just say, oh, I'm so annoyed, I'm so jealous, she's pregnant again. I'm just going to stuff it down here and just let it fester and let it burn in my stomach until I have like stomach problems. Okay, so feel it, experience it, allow it to flow in and out. So what happens is when we stuff down these emotional experiences and these traumas, these emotions literally become lodged in our physical body, well, in our energetic body, but you know, it's all connected. So when I'm doing this work with women, I basically go into the body and I ask, we do this through something called muscle testing or energy testing. Where in the womb do you have trapped emotions? What trapped emotions do you have in your ovaries? And we clear them, we get them out of the body because they are in there, believe me. So when it's different for everyone, but sometimes when you've been through a really painful experience, you'll hold that in the womb. You'll have those painful periods. Maybe you've been through something that you feel like a complete failure. You'll hold that in your ovaries and different areas and different things. So for me personally, when I got to about the 1 year mark of not getting pregnant, I was coming up to nearly 40 at the time, and I was doing everything right. So I was on all the right foods and supplements, and I was having massage and reflexology, and I thought I was relaxing. I thought I was doing self-care, but I knew my problem was deeper. I knew that it was something emotional, and I was very blessed to know this stuff already, having been a holistic therapist for so many years. I knew that every physical problem had an emotional root. And I knew that there were things concerning my own birth, my own mother, and things in my childhood. I just had this real gut feeling that those were the problem. And I knew that once I cleared those, that I would get pregnant. And that is exactly what happened. So I would say I did this intense emotional healing work for probably about 8 weeks, where it was just, full on. I wouldn't necessarily recommend everyone do it that full on, but I was full on. I think I was seeing like 3 or 4 different practitioners for different things, but I was doing a lot of the emotional healing work. And I got to the point, I remember when one of the last trapped emotions was released from my right fallopian tube, I felt it. Like I felt so light. I felt lighter. I felt emotionally lighter. And it was the very next cycle or a couple of weeks time then that I got my positive test. So I kind of had this intuitive knowing that that was it, that I had done it. Of course, you're not going to clear every single emotional trauma and experience that you've ever had in your life. There's a lot in there, but you can certainly clear what is causing the current problem, such as you not being able to get pregnant, okay? So some of the most common things that I have seen that affect fertility through my clients, of course, sexual assault and abuse is a major one. And I would say if you have been through anything like that, that is more than likely what is preventing you from getting pregnant, regardless of what other diagnosis you have, what age you are, anything. That needs to be cleared. It really does. Same with abortion. Abortion festers so many emotions in women, and it's one of those things that really has to be stuffed down because women don't talk about it. It's not acceptable to talk about it. So, even though you may know in your mind consciously that was the best decision for me at the time, subconsciously you're feeling all the guilt and all the resentment and all the sadness, all the things that you have buried down there. So those are two major ones. Miscarriage, it can be major and it can be very minor, because a lot of women, when they experience miscarriage, they do grieve and they do cry and they do get it out. So I would encourage you to do that if it happens. Again, miscarriage is one of those things, it's common, but just because it's common doesn't mean you just have to get over it and get on with it. You should cry and you should grieve for it, okay? Death of a parent as a child, this is an interesting one. So if your parent has died when you're young, you don't have the understanding as if your parent dies when you're older. Obviously, it's still hard, but you have an understanding of life then, that this is what happens. People get older and they die. When you're a child, you don't understand that. So what happens is you just feel like you've been abandoned. You feel like that person has just abandoned you. So that's a pretty heavy one that needs to be cleared. And then there are lots of issues that we can have with our mothers, with our fathers, with past relationships. Perfectionism is a big one that I see in women struggling to get pregnant. Of course, that stems from usually issues with parents, issues from a past relationship. So it's all related. Excuse me, I just need to plug my computer in. And then fear. Obviously, there's a lot of sort of fears that come up that in your subconscious that women don't even really realize that they're having. So a lot of women have fear of being pregnant, of giving birth, of fear of not being a good mother. Those are the most common ones that come up.